so quickly?
Well, there's more and more guys, I think, that come into college programs that we see across the country that are more ready to play. And I think that's a reflection of um, offense in this day and age has changed a little bit. And these guys that are developing earlier, in that style of play, that's just, more of a spread type offense than rather 20 years ago where you played a little different type. And it's not all about drop back passing, but there is elements of that. But I see a lot of young players that do this in high school now. There's a lot of good development of quarterbacks in a lot of different ways in terms of quarterback coaches. Um, and I just think that the style of play that guys grow up in is a little closer to what you see in college football now, which enables a talented player to make the transition, a little easier. So I would say that's the number one difference. But I see that at all positions. I see more and more guys that are more ready to play earlier in their career. And I think it's an expectation as well that guys are more prepared to do that. There was a time when I coached when freshmen weren't even eligible. So the mindset was never that you would play as a freshman. But now as more and more players do that, I think that enhances their development to help them try to do the things they need to do to be ready to play earlier. But I do think that one of the things that we constantly have to try to instill in our players is they still need to focus on development, not just on expectation. And the guys that are able to do that, improve more quickly and become more ready to play. And I think, Trevor Lawrence in particular has done a phenomenal job for his team this year and his ability to execute, and certainly doesn't play like a freshman or look like a freshman. And if anybody ever watched him, they wouldn't think he was a freshman.
We're going to go in here in the middle, right?
Tom Fitzgerald, San Francisco Chronicle. A question for Dabo regarding the three players that you were missing for failing drug tests. You were able to beat Notre Dame pretty well without them. Now you're playing Alabama. How much do you think you're going to miss them in this particular game, especially Dexter Lawrence?
Well, Dexter's a starter. The other two, didn't play much, so that didn't really. I hated it for them as they missed out on the opportunity to be a part of it. But certainly, from a team competitive standpoint, Dexter was the guy that was starting, playing a lot of ball for us. So, we miss him. He's a great player, tremendous. One of the best in the country at doing what he does. And so I'm thankful that we've got Albert Huggins and some other guys, Niles and Jordan, that have stepped up. And, they're ready to go perform to the very best of their ability. But, we certainly miss Dexter.
We're going to take our next question from over here in the front row on my right.
Scott Rabalais from the Baton Rouge and New Orleans Advocate. Sorry, Dabo, I'm in the restricted view seats over here.
I got you.
Obviously, meeting here again is great for your two programs. This is for both coaches. But is it good for college football? Is this kind of rivalry at the top good for the game, even though there's a lack of other teams getting a chance to get to this game?
Coach Saban?
Well, I don't really get too concerned about a lot of other programs. And, I think there's a lot of great things about college football that creates a lot of great experiences for a lot of young men. And I think the playoff has probably minimized, the number of teams that really get the same kind of positive self-gratification from going to bowl games and other venues, but that have been really unique to allowing players to get a lot of positives from having a good season. Now there's a lot of focus on the playoffs, and that becomes the target that every program and every team is sort of aiming for, and it's certainly the target that we have and a goal that we have as a program, and we're going to continue to have. And I can't really speak for other teams or what the impact of college football really is, but it's my job and my responsibility to do the best job that we can for, our team, our players, our program in terms of what it takes for us to be successful, and I guess that's what we'll, continue to focus on.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. I mean, I'm not going to apologize for having a great team and a great program and a bunch of committed guys, and Coach Saban's not either. I think the objective is to get the two best teams. That's kind of the way it is, and if that's not best for college football, then why did we even do it? Why don't we just go back to the way it was and have bowl games, and you put this team against this team, and it's not necessarily the two best teams playing, and then at the end, like it used to do, you just vote on who you think's the best team. That's what we used to have. And so then everybody got mad and said, well, dang, we want to put the best team against the best team. And so I think the first time that happened was my senior year, us in Miami, I believe, when they said, all right, we're going to start this new thing and put the 1 and 2 together and do away with all these bowl affiliations, and tired of all these people just saying, all right, we elect you national champion. We're not going to vote on it anymore. We're going to earn it and settle it on the field and put the two best teams together. And so that's what I think the objective was. And, so that's what's happened. I think the two best teams, I think it works. We went to a playoff, and the two best teams are here. And the two best teams have been here every year. Last year, the two best teams were there. And so I think that's what college football wanted, and also being able to have some great matchups in bowl games and things like that. I mean, I think it's great that there's, 40 teams out there that can end their season with a win and have momentum going into the offseason and so forth. So if this isn't good for college football, the two best teams, then we just kind of go back to the way it used to be and create all the good matchups however you want them, and then you just kind of elect a captain, and you got one national champion in this poll and one national champion in this poll and one national champion in this poll. So
We're going to take our last question from over to the left in the middle, third row.
Farhan Lalji from TSN. This is for Coach Swinney. And you've recruited elite quarterbacks before, including 5-star guys. When did you know you had something different, something special in Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I mean, it was pretty obvious. I really started studying him his sophomore year in high school. It was pretty obvious that he was an elite talent, skill set wise. But I like to get to know these guys a little bit, and what's their mental makeup and so forth. And I think you can get somewhat of a feel for that, but I don't think you really ever know till you start coaching a guy, and you transition, and so. That first spring when day one installation, you kind of have an installation plan of how you're going to put in your systems offensively, defensively, and so forth. And he got day one like that. I mean, it just was like fish to a water. I mean, it's just natural. And his uniqueness from a mindset standpoint, his poise, his demeanor, his preparedness, and just it was amazing to me early. So, because it's easy to see him go out there and throw the ball, and you're not going to ever see anybody throw the ball that looks better throwing the ball. I mean, it's a beautiful thing of art to watch this kid spin it. And he's 6'6". I mean, he's got all these physical measurables and attributes, but it's the stuff that's harder to measure. And soon that first spring, just meetings, how he transitioned, speed of the game, how he handled mistakes, how he handled the pressure from his teammates, how he handled competition. I mean, we had a bunch of quarterbacks there last spring, and I knew pretty early that this kid he's unique.
We're going to